Shout out to Silent Partner for this royalty-free intro, Mob Battle, because we really don't have money to buy songs.
Yeah, and also no lyrics, so it's like kind of easy to talk over a little bit.
Oh, that's true too. My name is Andrew.
This is Lane.
And you are sitting on the musician's slab outside of a liquor store in Spring Hill. The reason for is because fuck the government.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Jeff got drunk, so they have to pick me up.
Day 24.
Yeah, as of this recording, day 24.
Tomorrow will be day 25 when we release this.
If it's still going on. Let's be real. It's going to still be going on.
Yeah, it's still going to be going on.
And yeah, so we wanted to make this a very special government shutdown episode. So with us today, we found a punk off the street. His name is DJ. How you doing,
man?
DJ?
Yeah, pretty good, man.
All right. And we're going to be honest, DJ. We know absolutely nothing about punk rock. Yeah. So we brought with us our special punk correspondent, Wizzy Incongito.
Dweebs.
It's
What the
good.
fuck do you call me?
Fucking dweeb.
Oh, it's good. It's good because my friends say that I talk about punk rock too much. So
Yeah, I feel the same
Now
way.
you get to spill your heart out to
Then
us.
you're the perfect
and
person.
like our 5 listeners,
yeah,
2 of which are us.
yeah.
Yeah,
and I was going to
exactly.
say like
It
one
just
of
went down
them's
to
going to
4.
be me tomorrow.
Andrew, stop listening.
So yeah, I'd like to talk with you on a lot of different subjects. Hopefully we get to talk a lot about punk rock music, politically charged music as a whole. I want to talk to you about any cool stories you might have. And we've also got our friend here, Jordan. He is our fact checker and cold brew coffee drinker.
You can say hi since there's not another mic.
No, this is Patrick.
There it is.
This is Patrick.
Patrick, can you fact check that?
Oh, dude.
Kidding.
Teenage
Your
Bottle
Social
Rockets
Security
have a
card.
song. Teenage Bottle Rockets have a song called Patrick. It goes, "Don't mess with Patrick. He'll get your heads." It's literally like a minute and 45 seconds of talking about some dude named Patrick that fuck you up.
Congratulations, Patrick.
This is very punk rock of us.
Great.
You know, we
intro.
had a really nice car with really good working heat.
Yeah.
And
You don't see
we were
that
like,
shit
you know what,
often.
that's not punk rock enough.
We're
Let's
gonna
go
sit in the
outside.
alley.
Let's sit by the alley. And yeah, let's just sit in the cold.
Here we are.
Here we are.
So punk rock, I've been listening to a lot more lately due to this episode. Because I knew this was coming up. So I listened
What
to a lot.
decade?
I listened to a lot of punk rock before. I listened to I like Black Flag.
Oh yeah.
I do like Bad Brains.
Oh,
I've
so
listened
like
to a lot of
hardcore basically.
that. Yeah, I like that. It's and then you mentioned the Beastie Boys.
Yeah, they started out underground. They their biggest inspiration was Bad Brains. And they started out with a EP called Polywag.
Pollywogs.
Pollywog stew.
Yeah,
Yep.
Polywog Stew. And my God, like the first time I heard that, it blew my mind because I was hanging out at a bar, and there was this old punk dude, and somebody played "You Got the Right to You Have the Right to Party," you know, by them.
Yeah.
And he was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, Beastie Boys suck nowadays," and I was like, "What?" And, like, this is what they always sounded
And then
like.
you were like, "Kick it." And then,
Yeah. And I asked him, I'm like, "What the fuck you mean? They always sounded like that." And he was like, no. And he just pulls up like the album on his phone. I was like, what?
And
Yeah, no
that's
kidding.
the crazy thing about it too, because like as an avid hip hop listener, if anyone like grew up loving the Beastie Boys, you would never guess that was them.
No, you wouldn't. Like, because I listen to a little bit of everything. You know, I've listened to a lot of hip hop, a lot of rap, a lot of like jazz. I love jazz. And it's amazing when you hear a band go from one genre to a next, and it's the opposite type of genre.
Yeah.
Like there's only one similarity in hip hop and punk rock, and that would be like the original meanings of them was just like fuck it, say what you want.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I do agree with him on that one. That hip hop shared that type of similarity because it was more about what they were saying
Yeah,
compared to
Like,
the,
I don't know a
let's say
single
per se
punk
the
who doesn't
beat
like
on the
Wu-Tang
hip-hop
Clan.
track or the guitars on a punk track. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it was all about spreading the message.
Yeah.
That's what it was about. MCing is a master of ceremony, and a punk band is a group of just fucking punk. rock.
Yeah.
Just
It's a
stand
group
against
of
anything that's wrong.
drug addict, drunk assholes who
Mm.
decided to play music.
Yeah, but if the Beastie Boys
Correct.
didn't become who they were, then
No, yeah, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about them
And then
because it'd be
what-
like the Bad Brains. So like, if you didn't know, like, if you don't know underground hardcore from the '80s, you don't know Bad Brains. You're like, what the fuck?
yeah,
And that'd be the Beastie Boys. You
Yeah.
know, like nowadays, kids who are like 12, you're like, hey, you know Beastie Boys? And like, yeah.
yeah. And without the Beastie Boys, how confident would white rappers be today?
Right? Like, I don't think Eminem
That's-
would be a thing.
No, yeah.
Machine Gun Kelly, anybody?
Oh my
Oh,
god!
no.
You know he
No.
played a punk in Salt Lake City Punk 2.
That was
Salty
Machine
Punk.
Gun Kelly?
Yeah, he
What?
he played like 3 characters. And one of them was Crash, the one with like the faux hawk and the jacket and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Machine Gun Kelly.
That is crazy.
Yeah,
I only saw the first one.
the first one's way better.
Yeah.
Way better. He's not in the first one. He's in the second one.
Yeah, well, the first one is pretty old.
Yeah, but
okay.
it's also better. Like,
Yeah,
oh my god, like
definitely.
I'm so
usually
punk
is.
rock. I only cried for 30 minutes when Bob died.
Another movie we were talking about this before was I was trying to get Jeff to watch this with The Green Room.
Oh yeah, it's really good. The only thing is like the color of your laces. Yeah, that was a big deal. I still wear yellow laces as anti-racist laces and all that. But really, it's not a huge thing anymore. Like people buy a pair of boots, they're like, I want some purple laces because I like the color purple.
Yeah,
You-
it's,
you know
it's
what
a
I mean?
fashion thing now.
Yeah, and that's all good. I think that's fine. I think people should wear it for whatever reason.
They used to do
Um,
the same thing with bandanas,
Yeah,
handkerchiefs.
I have a shit ton of bandanas, and I have one that's red plaid. And back in the day, like people were like, "Oh, dude, you can't wear that. It's red." And I'm like, "Why not?" And they're like, "Cause that's like a gang thing." And I'm like, "I like the color red. Fuck off."
Yeah, I mean, it was like depending on who you asked, it wasn't even a gang thing. Like sometimes
Yeah.
it would just be what tell everybody else what your kink was.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
It's just a flag,
hanging
man.
it out of your back pocket and shit
It's
like
just a
that. That
flag,
was about
man.
that was like saying like you're open.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the whole sagging pants thing. You know where that started?
Prison, right?
Yeah, it started in prison, and it was to show that you were someone's bitch. So
Now it's in style.
yeah,
man,
now
that
it
was
means
someone
you
who
get
saw
it.
through
Now it
Google.
means
Same
it's
story
ghetto.
with the teardrop tattoo.
Yeah. Like Lil Wayne with. I'm like, dude, you started rapping when you were 8. Shut up.
So, those of you who haven't seen DJ, and today's the first time I've seen him in person, he dresses like a punk rocker.
Yeah, I
With-
just time traveled from Washington D.C. out of the 80s.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
But you've got the patches, you've got the pins, you've got everything. I'm sorry for
I
those
wear
peas, by the
Doc
way, and-
Martens.
We're gonna take some pictures later and post them up on
Alright,
Facebook
man.
too.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Do you want to describe some of those? I mean, I know it's hard not to see them, but
Well, I do the boots because they're pretty easy. First off, they're Doc Martens, which is like the only punk rock boot ever. It's not, but like that, a lot of people wear Doc Martens in the punk scene, and mine are 10-hole, so they're relatively tall with like Thanos chin level soles and like 70 studs a piece.
you've got every stone on them.
Yeah, every stone. I have
It's about to
70
wipe out
studs.
70% of the punk population.
Yeah.
Say that again, but with less peas.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself, Andrew.
That you know what? Thank you. That had less peas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yourself, you coward.
Somehow he made a C, Spike. I don't know how, but
He did it.
he did it.
Anyway, but yeah, no, I see a lot of stuff. Oh, what's that on your arm? It says the government.
Oh,
is
it says the
not-
government is not your baby daddy.
Okay. Would you like to elaborate on
Oh,
that?
fuck, man. I thought I had found him.
It's talking about
Sorry.
it's talking about people who physically can work and decide to just let the government pay for everything. And I have a problem with that, and I think punk rock as a whole would have a problem with that when they think about it. Because if you think about it, if the government gives you everything, give you house, money, food, car, all that, and
Welfare.
you're now dependent on the government. And if they decide to do something you don't agree with, and you're like, oh, I don't agree with that, they're like, oh, well, now you don't have a house.
I think that since we're on the topic of that specifically, I think that punks are probably the most patriotic Americans.
Yeah, definitely. Because there's this song by it's either TSOL or the Vandals. I'm pretty sure it's TSOL called "Serious," and one of the lines in it says, "Love your country, hate your government," and like
Oh.
it's just
Wow.
that's the perfect representation. The Vandals has a song that takes it more comedic reference. It goes, it's called "Anarchy Burger," and it goes, "America stands for freedom. Well, if you think you're free, try walking in a deli and urinating on the cheese."
Wizzy?
I approve that message because one time I walked into a Publix and peed all over their subs.
And you were no longer free, were you?
Oh, I ran
Actually,
like
he
a
walked out with
motherfucker.
3 girlfriends. But
How accurate that is?
That was probably in
90%.
Pasco.
Jordan, fact check that.
Um, so what are your favorite punk bands? What do you listen
It
to?
changes depending on genre because there's so many different genres of punk. Like when I'm in like old school hardcore, I listen to a lot, like you said, like Black Flag, Minor Threat, Subhumans, the ones from the UK. They're probably one of my favorites right now. I listen to them a lot. But sometimes I listen to little newer punk. By newer, I mean like the '90s, like changeover, like Bad Religion, NoFX, Pennywise, bands like that. Then I also listen to a lot of local stuff, and that I think I like the most.
Yeah.
Like the Horribles, from Pasco.
Yeah,
Same thing
Horribles
with
are
Saints Brigade.
Yep.
Shout out to
I-
Drake
yeah.
Rogers.
Hell yeah, Drake, Josh Watsa from Saints Brigade. And
You're never going to listen to this.
yeah, I know, I know. I'm gonna tell them about it tomorrow, and they'll be like, "Nah, I got shit to do." But
probably won't tell
Mosquito
you that. They'll be
Teeth,
like, "Oh, yeah,
Mosquito
totally, when I
Teeth
get home
from
from
St.
work."
Pete, they did the most
Which
punk.
one was that?
Mosquito Teeth.
Okay.
They
those
did the
guys are
most
great.
punk rock thing I could ever imagine doing. Because in today's world, if you make a song that's offensive, you have to apologize. And they made a song
you
called
have to?
"Broken Rape Whistle," and it's
God.
about, but it's not as bad as it sounds because it's coming from the perspective of somebody who is a rape victim, like how scary it is to be in that situation without a way to call for help. But the media got really mad about it, and this is a story I was told, so I'm not sure if it's exactly accurate. But anyway, they were like, and the
Jordan,
next
I'm about
song
to give your
makes
job
it.
to an immigrant if you don't fucking
yeah.
do your job.
But the next song,
Can't really do that when there's a government shutdown
yeah.
now, can you?
but the next, so and the media got
Is Home
mad.
Depot still
The-
open?
Oh no!
yeah.
Stop.
But anyway, the media got so mad at them. They're so offended, and they're like, "You need to, apologize." And instead of doing that, they wrote "Broken Rape Whistle Part 2," which has
The first one wasn't good enough.
yeah, and it goes like
The
one of
second
like
coming.
the whole part, like it's like, "I'm
Oh,
sorry,
no.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, but maybe
Like
they
an
were
orgasm in
right.
this bitch.
These words are so offensive, and that's not nice. But that's a bunch of bullcrap. That's a bunch of and But anyway, and he goes later on. It goes, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, but maybe they were wrong for getting so offended at such a stupid fucking song." And that's actually one thing I really dislike about punk rock. I think people either take it too seriously or they take it not serious enough. Like obviously, like Anarchy Burger or Mosquito Teeth's song "Broken Rape Whistle Part 2." Pretty much every song Mosquito Teeth does actually. It's a joke song. It's meant to like you put it on, you have a good time, just fuck around. Like they have a song called "Party Till You Puke," which literally goes "Party till you puke, but you don't feel good when." Like it's not meant to be taken seriously.
It's definitely punk because it
But-
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but then you have exactly. But then you have songs like "Rise Above" by Black Flag. That's like rise above, gonna rise above. They distort what we say, like, and that's a message. He's trying to get a message.
Right.
So there's two forms of punk rock in that, and I think people try to take the jokes too literally, and I think that's true with not just punk rock but life. And I think people need to be offended. I mean, I get offended every time I hear a boy band. I don't go calling the cops on it.
Oh shit!
Sometimes you
Just got on
should,
the fucking
but-
radio.
Depends.
Yeah, when 5 Seconds of Summer steals the logo from 7 Seconds.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
They're just 2 seconds away.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And maybe a
Right?
couple seasons.
Yeah, probably
You know?
probably closer to about like 30 years. 7 Seconds was the 80s punk band or something like that.
Oh my fucking god! All right, so maybe we should get to the main topic.
Yeah.
Is government shutdown.
Oh,
Yeah, and I have a very interesting take on it that a lot of people get surprised about, but it's the way I take anything that's political. Um, First off, I'm I'm neither Republican or Democrat.
Just fuck everybody.
I believe a two-party system doesn't work. A zero-party system works, and I don't mean no government. I mean as in this. Instead of being like, oh, it's his side or my side, be like, we're American. It's the American side. You
I
know?
think the part about America that makes it so beautiful is that we have sides that can fight each other.
Oh yeah, I also agree with that because fighting creates strong. Like fighting
Yeah.
creates people. You
Well,
go
it-
through challenges
yeah.
and then you become stronger for
Yeah, but
those
people are-
challenges. But
people-
you take it too seriously
People are fighting more for what side of the government they're on,
rather than the reasons
rather
they're
than-
fighting. Like
exactly.
yes.
like for instance, like the government shutdown for petty reason, right? A lot of people, a lot of Democrats especially, are really mad at Trump for that. I don't blame them for being mad, but they also weren't mad when Obama shut down the government because his health care plan didn't, like, no one wanted it.
That's
So
yeah.
like you either have to be mad both times or neither.
I think the big issue with that too is that, like you said, they're not paying attention to the actual issues. And
Yeah, they're
when-
playing sides.
yeah, exactly. It comes down to Team Red or Team Blue, and it's just
It's like,
like
what
a
if I want
sports
Team
teams.
Purple? What if I want purple?
Well, it's just like sports teams
Yeah.
to me. It's like, have you ever ran into like
yeah.
a big football fan and like he acts like he knows every player on the team personally,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it's like
and then like they do something messed up, and they're like, "Oh no, that was totally fair." And then the other team does the exact same thing. They're like, "That guy needs to get kicked out of the game." And I'm like, "Dude, it's a game, and you're not even playing it."
it's
so-
like at that point, it's like
We're not even playing the government.
exactly like
Yeah.
I'm not a politician. You know why I don't run for president? Because I would be a horrible fucking president.
Now, listen, I
You
know
know?
that when I turned on ESPN, I just see Donald Trump talking about like shit from like the pressing room, and I'm just like, whoa.
And
that was an
this-
absolutely great game. You know what? They played a terrific game.
Yeah,
Terrific.
I don't watch.
Yes.
I don't watch sports. I take.
We were playing against China.
Have you ever heard a song? It's a punk song called "I Hate Sports."
Oh jeez.
That's
God.
kind
you
of
hate
me.
water sports, bro. You haven't lived life yet, man.
I love. I have an old
Is
joke.
that always going to be a thing with you now? Water sports?
It's always going to be a hidden message in our podcast.
Hey,
Oh.
for you guys to know at home, I like liquids.
You want to know why I like skating so much?
Why is that?
Why is skateboarding not a serious sport in most people's eyes?
Why?
You can't
It's
cheat.
rebellion.
You can't cheat.
Oh,
You're either good or you're not good.
That's
You
true.
got a good point there. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess I
You
guess
can't
I guess
fake
the same
doing
thing
a
can go
hand
for,
plant
like,
on
anything
a-
that's physical,
you
though,
know?
right?
Right.
You know what?
Anything physical.
The nice thing
can't
about it
lie
is that
about
network
your body.
television is covering skateboarding now, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
just,
um,
it's
Yeah.
actually a lot more legitimate now
It
than ever
is.
before.
It is like same thing in punk rock. Back in the day, like when Rodney Mullen and especially older than that, Stacy Peralta, Tony Alva, back
Yeah.
in the Z Boy eras.
Mm-hmm.
If you were a skater, you were a loser. You were never gonna make any money, right? Same thing in punk rock. If you were in a band in the '80s, you didn't think you were ever gonna get money. Like
Well, I'm a band in 2019. I'm not getting money right now.
Exactly.
So I mean, like,
so imagine
lot
imagine
of
you
that
were in the
carries over.
'80s. Imagine if you were in the '80s and no one, you know how hard it was to get your like message across. Like
Oh
put
yeah,
this.
well, punk was still very out there. It was
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
as,
but
like, a thing for, like,
if you didn't
rambunctious
live,
people.
but if you didn't live in a town that had a lot of punk, then if you tried to start a punk band, no one would come to your shows because you couldn't get
Do you
your word
believe
out.
punk music now is not as appreciated? I guess not necessarily appreciated. But
Oh yeah, I think I know what you're saying. Like it's not as enthusiastic about it.
yeah, people
yeah.
don't actually listen to the lyrics.
Yeah,
of punk
yeah.
music.
Yeah.
I think bigger bands that a lot of people know. I think that's true. Like for instance, I love Bad Religion. I
Mhm.
love them.
Yeah, no shit.
I know a lot of people who listen to Bad Religion that like when you actually ask them like, "Hey, what do you think that song means?" So like,
Yeah, like most people now would probably like the same reason they wear like a Dead Kennedys t-shirt.
Yeah,
it's just
but I'm
because
like,
they want to look cool.
yeah. Like there's a picture I saw that's hilarious. It's a meme, and it's a picture of Dee Ramone hanging out. And he's like, "Oh, I hear you like my band," and it's a girl in like 2018, 2019 with like the snapback cap and a Ramone shirt,
Yeah.
and she says, "What band?"
That's pretty good. Yeah, I can agree with that. A lot of people just wear the t-shirts because it's in style. It's
Like
not.
like I have an Interrupters shirt, and I got that shirt before the Interrupters were big. So
Yeah.
Just want to let
I got it
everyone
at
at
the
home
show.
know
Like at the
that
show.
Patrick is totally eating his donut from Dunkin' Donuts right now.
Well, I'm drinking my green tea. Drinking my Arizona
He's
green
disappointed
tea.
in the small donut. He's got no jelly in his donut. Oh, you got a
That
donut,
that
Jeff?
reminds us, guys.
Alright,
If
the fact checker was wrong. What the fuck are we doing?
that reminds us, guys, if you do ever want to see us eat jelly in our donuts anytime soon, we do have a PayPal you can donate to. Donate to musicianscouch@gmail.com.
Add
Yeah,
me on
we
Venmo.
also.
I feel like that had a little bit of innuendo in that, Andrew.
Absolutely.
What kind of jelly we talking
I mean,
about,
I kind
boys?
of want to watch you eat jelly.
In
You
your
know-
endo.
You know what's punk? Donating to us. So go ahead and
Yeah,
donate.
Yeah.
To us.
yeah.
Donate. Support your local businesses.
Nothing's more
Actually,
punk than donating
supporting
money to a couple
local
guys you
is
don't
the
know.
most punk thing you can do.
Absolutely.
Like, it's all about the local scene.
Send us donuts.
Yeah,
locally
send donuts.
locally grown farm to table donuts, free range.
Yeah, no chemicals, GMO free.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
This has gone off rails.
Yeah, it has a very similar topic that's really big in politics now. It's political correctness. And
Where do you stand there? Because like, okay, I know, especially coming from another punk,
I wrote
I don't have no political correctness.
I wrote
Like,
a song.
say
I
whatever
wrote
the
a
fuck
poem
I
called
want.
"Political Incorrectness."
Do you have it? Do you want to read it?
Actually, I don't think I have that one. Sadly.
He's got his in the composition book,
Yeah.
not his in binder.
Got
But
it.
I do have a pin on this hat that says "Warning: I say politically incorrect shit."
Can I have it?
Nah. Oh, and also, by chance, if Josh Vazda is listening, no, you're not getting my Agent Orange pen. Sorry, man.
I
It's
listened
not
to
happening.
Agent Orange a long time.
Dude, I got actually that's how I first learned about punk rock. Like most people my age, like little kid, they heard their first punk song from Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 for PlayStation 1.
Yep.
It was Bloodstains by Agent Orange. And I recently, in the past few years, got to live out a dream of mine. I saw Mike Palm perform live. And then afterwards, I talked with him. Like,
Oh wow.
yeah, and like he had a one-on-one conversation with this like just random kid that he'd never met, and then asked me if he could sign something. I look at him like, dude, you're Mike Palm. You can sign anything you want. Like, do you need me to pull my pants down? It's like,
Where, in the front or the back?
Yeah.
That's a really crucial question.
You're right though
that's
too.
Mike Palm's choice.
Be-
But he
Oh my
ended up
God.
signing a skateboard that I bought from the show that has the Agent Orange logo on it. And it's amazing. Everybody thought they were going to be the like slow band because like the dude's been doing it since 1979, and he had the most energy, I think.
Speaking of signed punk things, you have something, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
Something Andrew told me about earlier.
Yeah.
So
He shows it to all the girls
yeah,
and the guys.
Oh.
that's why I get all the dicks and pussy. Anyways, all right, hey guys, I'm Wizzy Incongito. I have a really fucking cool jacket that I inherited from my guitar teacher. And I had gotten a couple tickets from a good friend of mine, and actually Drake Rogers, Rick Manners. Rick Manners had passed away before we could see our first Dead Kennedys show together. That it happened over here at the Cuban Club in Ybor.
Okay.
And this is, later years with their new singer Skip, but they still had the original bass player, DH Peligro on drums and East Bay Ray on guitar.
Dead
So-
Kennedys.
So they had everything
Nazi punk
original except the singer. And I had got my jacket signed by Skip because East Bay Ray kind of like ran quickly. And then I smoked a Stogue with DH Peligro. And he's like the coolest dude you'll ever meet. Yeah. it was funny because we just talked about cigarettes that we liked, and like since I was the only person that had Newports, he was like, "Yo,
That's rich people cigarettes. What are you doing that smoking that?
what?"
Newports are like rich people cigarettes. They cost like $8 per pack.
He's Newport Richie.
They call me Newport Richie, yeah, just because I used to smoke nothing but Newport.
That's actually great.
It's fantastic.
That's
Absolutely-
legitimately awesome.
That is the only pack of cigarettes I will ever risk my life for.
I'm smoking shitty decades right now, so
Yeah, I've been there, bro. At least
Oh,
you're not
no,
smoking
dude.
those cigars.
these
though.
are nice for me because I normally have to buy the cigar
cigars.
ones
Yeah,
nowadays.
$1.29, bro.
Yeah.
To feed your fuel your addiction.
You
Uh.
mentioned Tony Hawk earlier.
Yeah.
I think you're right, a lot of punks, like a lot of people in this generation actually like got their start listening to punk rock music off
Yeah.
those.
That's probably me
And
too.
it's really funny because he's like, well, yeah, he definitely was in the scene back in the day because if you were a skater in the 80s, you knew punks.
Absolutely. I
But
remember
him
playing
himself was the most clean cut, like nerdy looking kid.
He was.
Same with Rodney Mullen. Like Rodney Mullen was still rocking like the booty shorts for guys.
He was I don't know,
I
I
think he
guess
still does.
I think Tony Hawk was just trying to get them deals, you know? He was just trying to like stay
Well,
with
no,
that.
I mean, what they
image.
did, the reason that the Bones Brigade did so well was because while all the other major skateboard teams are all getting all fucked up and drinking and partying with all the punks, the Bones Brigade stayed pretty straight edge. Actually, I mean, they didn't do nothing. All they did was practice day in and day out. That's why they were the best. I mean, I personally, I'm not a
works.
huge fan of Tony Hawk. I think he's an amazing skater, and I think he's an amazing person. But I just have a lot more, preferred skaters.
Sure.
Um,
One of the first games I played as a kid, I got to play Tony Hawk Underground. And
well,
was
I'm talking about, but way before Underground.
Sure. but there was one song in there by the Addicts.
Oh yeah.
And
Which one? I can't remember.
Viva la Revolution.
Oh yeah, I love that song. Viva
La
la revolution.
Revolution.
Yes.
Yeah, I have
please.
that on my iPod. So yeah,
Can we use that for the next intro?
it's
Senpai
such a good
Notice
intro.
Me.
Oh, that'd be great.
Honestly,
oh no, you guys singing it, not.
Oh,
not the
yeah.
act-
when we were planning this out, we were thinking
would be
about
really
getting
punk rock
like
because it would sound
kazoos
horrible.
and just
Oh, dude,
try to kazoo the Rage Against the
I know-
Machine song.
I know this is ska, not punk, but
Andrew,
Madness.
Why don't you just dig yourself a hole?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
after
You know
that.
Madness. There's a song they do called "One Step Beyond," and I can do that entire song on kazoo, like the trumpet part.
Oh,
I do
God.
on kazoo. It's like.
So Andrew was telling me the other day, that a lot of punk music is inspired by reggae music,
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Heavily.
and
Yeah.
I never realized that. But when I listened to two songs by what band was it? Oh, The Clash,
Oh yeah.
Yep.
yeah. Which
Revolution
ones?
Rock,
Yeah.
and Guns of Brixton.
Ooh,
Guns of
good.
Brixton
That's
is very
good.
Both very
To
reggae.
the faraway town, war is declared. Yeah, that's
yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, at least it wasn't.
Boom,
At least it
boom,
wasn't
boom, boom, boom,
London.
boom,
London
boom.
calling.
London calling.
We're gonna pretend that didn't happen.
Rock the Casbah, yay or nay?
Oh.
I mean, it's a good song.
Yeah,
but
it is, but I feel like it didn't fit.
It's kind of after like the Clash kind of went more mainstream.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
definitely because like one of my favorite songs from it was actually off the first album. Well, it's actually off of London Calling. Is Lost in the Supermarket.
Yeah, that. Oh
I
man,
love because,
I haven't
you know,
heard
like-
that in like 2 years.
Oh my god! Do you know like? But when you listen to it, it's so amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, lost in the supermarket, came along to shop happily. I came
Yeah.
in for the special offer, guaranteed personality, and then like my favorite line is this: "I wasn't born so much as I fell out," and I was like, "Yeah, mom."
But anyway, to bring it back to what Andrew was talking about earlier, he was talking about how
loose.
he thinks punk rock especially deals with a lot of political issues.
Yeah,
And
because
about-
because the UK was kind
Yeah,
of under
yeah,
under
that-
fire at
that
that
whole
time.
thing. But
Yeah.
even modern day, I know, like for instance, the Damsels, their local band, local to Florida. Let's see if I have the notes. I
they're
can't
local
remember what
to the
town.
Caribbean.
I hate myself. Yeah, Tampa, of course. Why couldn't I? But anyway, they have one song that I love. I love this song, and it's off.
Ooh.
It's off. It's called Neurotic. and it goes. They have a line in it. I can't remember the whole chorus, but the line goes, "Land of the free, as long as you do what you're told." You know, and I think that's the mentality of a lot of punk rock. It's like,
There-
yeah,
yeah.
you know, you think you're free, but like
Really not.
you're not allowed to do anything.
Well,
nice
it's just
oxymoron.
it comes back to like the whole thing that how Andrew was saying, red and blue.
Yeah,
Because in all honesty, it's because you're following those people. You're not following their ideology.
yeah. That's
you know
why
what I
I'm
mean?
a
You
nihilist.
think you're free, but you're not, because like even though like technically we did elect them, we're still thinking in their eyes.
Yeah.
We didn't elect him.
Well,
But-
Not my
But you know what I'm talking about. Like the
But
thing
yeah,
about
yeah,
it is like
yeah.
there's people.
America as a whole voted and they chose, but you don't really have a choice.
For
You have a
all
choice
the,
between two people, and neither one are really that good.
Like, because if you really had a choice, like instead of it being like like he said, like a 2-party system, you can actually pick from a list of people who are running.
Yeah.
and
instead
they,
of-
they
instead of
pretend
just,
like you can, but it always comes down to two people.
Yeah.
It really does. I mean,
Um,
like,
Yeah, always
really.
Republican, always Democrat.
yeah, like you're never gonna have a libertarian, like a real libertarian, have a legit shot.
And I would actually like Patrick to fact check this one real quick. But I heard that someone had told me, an older person had told me that the Republicans and the Democrats actually switched.
Oh
with
yeah,
years.
yeah, they did. Okay,
Yep.
so the Republican Party was like, I believe, founded by like Lincoln, and they were like their original purpose. It was like, we're going to like free the slaves and all that, and so they were like the left leaning, like power to everyone people,
Right.
and the Democrats were like, nah, the old ways, man, the old ways.
And you know it's funny. I think it depends on the actual political the political persona of, like, let's say the president
Yeah.
of that time.
Yeah, because like if you think of like for instance like Reagan, but then you think a few generations later, the same party, very different mentality. So it's it changes with the times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've never been comfortable when people try to like put themselves onto a side. Like I
Yeah.
was saying this earlier about my job. Like I have a very conservative job. Like I work in mechanics. I'm a mechanic for a living.
And that's blue collar working.
It's
That's
blue-collar working.
typically conservative. I
Yeah,
I come
let's say
from that.
now it's typically conservative.
Yeah.
'Cause, a
Back in
couple
the-
years,
yeah,
like
yeah.
years ago,
Yeah,
it
it
could
was
have been
different.
Democratic.
Oh
right?
yeah, but
Because of the union and stuff. Like let's say Lyndon B.
yeah.
Johnson, like when he was president, he created all the social programs we know today.
yeah,
And a lot of the blue collar workers were actually more democratic.
Yeah.
Because of the reason that they had union, they could have like some faith. Because let's be honest, like until a whole bunch of like EPA rules and like OSHA
Yeah.
standards were placed, like the workplace was really fucking unsafe.
Yeah.
Like so it's just like times changed and those
but
people
this,
changed.
I grew up helping my dad do construction, like at sites, and I've done it as recently as like last year. Right
Right.
now I'm remodeling the house.
Right.
And I hang out with a lot of the people there that work,
Yeah, they're
and a
very-
lot of
usually
them
very
have been
conservative.
they're great guys, but you're not gonna be a left leaning person and have
Yeah.
a good conversation with them.
Well, you see, and that's the fun thing about it is because so where I work at, it's all family.
Yeah,
None of them are. I'm the only person that isn't family. So first things first, I get all the shit.
you're raised. Yeah.
So
You're raised to think a certain way.
Yeah,
And that's why I'm really lucky. Like my dad's super conservative, but smart conservative. He's not like, oh well, that's
he's
actually
still
good."
progressive, right?
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
still progressive.
But my
exactly.
mom is straight up independent. She does lean towards Republican, but if a Democrat has a better argument, she's like, eh.
Right.
I also want to say for all the listeners, no matter what party we may be on or what we agree with, doesn't mean we don't like the people, like the opposite side.
Exactly.
Right, no,
Okay,
of
put it
course
this
not.
way. Me and my friend
Right.
Nisha,
Right.
I've had some
Right.
amazing conversation with her. Here's the thing. We think very differently when it comes to politics. And instead of yelling at each other, we have a legitimate debate. I'm like, well, what's your points? And she'd
Right.
tell her my point, or tell me her points. I take them into consideration, and then I tell her why I think I disagree.
Yeah.
For instance, she thinks communism is a good idea.
Only in theory. Technically speaking, like
In
Karl's-
theory, on
yeah,
paper, it's
In
great.
Karl Marx's world, communism worked.
Yeah. Problem is,
But Karl Marx did not live in the fucking world.
yeah, see, that's the problem. And I'm like,
So
well,
fuck you, Karl Marx.
Yeah, and that's
So,
another thing.
A lot of pent up
is,
hatred for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do we have to write? Hey, dude, do me and you? Do we have to like go write a punk song about Karl Marx now?
Do it
Like,
right now.
like,
Do it right now.
Karl Marx, fuck you. Karl Marx, fuck you.
Dude, there we go. Bro, I'm gonna release that shit on Reverb Nation. We're gonna be number one. We'll be number fucking one.
Put it
So
on
punk rock.
Spotify.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is I'm gonna bring this very off topic, but mumble rap. Why do people care so much
You mean
about
you mean Tim Armstrong?
Timmy from fucking South Park? Oh no, what's his name? The kid in the wheelchair?
No.
Oh,
Oh no.
Drake.
No.
No, you're talking about South Park.
This isn't Degrassi, you motherfucker. Yeah,
No, I was
South
talking
Park.
about Tim Armstrong from Rancid.
that guy in Glee, the guy in the wheelchair.
Yeah,
Oh.
Drake.
Yeah.
What up, boy? You walking good now. You walking on like $3,000 pair of shoes now.
But anyway,
No wonder the motherfucker can walk.
but like we were saying earlier about like we have a very false sense of freedom, and we feel like we're free, but we're not. I wrote down a excerpt from a poem I wrote that covers that topic.
So about that, a lot of people don't know DJ is actually a poet, and he writes a lot of poetry.
Yeah, I think I've probably written like 1,000.
I'm still waiting for my fucking love song.
Goodness.
Oh, man.
How often do you perform them?
I'm a do the shameless plug.
Go for it.
Every Thursday night at Euphoria Emporium Hookah Cafe. I do open mic there with Joe. Joe hosts it. An amazing guitarist. I love him so
He
much.
really is.
Don't go over there. You're gonna have an amazing time.
Yeah, seriously. And I'm one of those people. It takes me a long time before I like a spot. And since I started doing poetry there, I've missed like 3 open mics, and I've been doing it for over a year. So
That's great. Yeah, so
it's
please
grown.
go check out Euphoria Emporium
Angie,
in Spring Hill.
You've played there. Yeah.
Quite a few
Yeah.
times.
You're also featured in the beginning of Foxes and Boxes.
Boxes, yeah. That's my friend Dean's movie. We've made a few movies, me and him.
I'm in it too, and
Yeah.
hopefully
Yeah,
we
I
can
loved
get him
your
on.
voice. Oh yeah, definitely.
We want to get him and Joe on very soon, and
Dude,
interview them
I
and
would
ask them some questions
I would
about
love
the
to hear
movie.
a podcast of Joe. Like that's, But anyway, I was going to do an excerpt from a poem I did like a year ago called "The Sad Fact." It's about the topic of how people feel like they're free, but they're not really. And it goes like this.
Punk music.
Yeah. People say we are free, but we are prisoners. Prisoners of our own complacency. How is it freedom when you aren't free to be yourself? Freedom of speech, unless if they disagree with what you have to say. Freedom of religion, unless if you want to pray to a God that isn't their God. And that to me is exactly what punk rock is. It's realizing if you step back, because as an American, yeah, America is most certainly one of the most free countries.
Oh yeah, hands down.
Henry
we can't take it for
Rollins.
granted.
Henry Rollins from Black Flag commented on this.
If we're in Cuba right now, we
He's been everywhere. Henry Rollins, he's been everywhere from North Korea, everywhere. And he said, yeah, America is like, people like to say, oh, well, Germany's not as free as us. And he's like, well, you know why all the crazy shit happens in America? And he's like, why? He's like, because you're free enough to do that kind of shit here.
Freedom of press too.
Yeah, like a lot of places, like
Until
for
we
instance,
tighten up them libel laws.
like North Korea, like you can't like do anything there.
Yeah.
In China,
There's a reason why you don't hear a whole lot
yeah.
about North Korea.
Yeah, and in China, like if you Google search like their version of
Wonder
Google,
why.
the government is the one who created the engine, the search engine, and so you're only gonna see this search results that the Chinese government wants you to see.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And it's if you control the information, you control the population.
Dial-up, dog, like DSL.
Like,
yeah, something else that's actually similar to that I heard actually from I believe Trevor Noah.
Yay!
Yay.
I love that man.
So You notice how
Wow.
we get a lot of Florida man stories, like these crazy motherfuckers that make the
Yeah.
news.
Yeah.
And
Man has sex
Yeah.
with alligator.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like, you say, well, oh, come on, why is it always Florida? Why Florida?
Because
It's
you
like,
live in Florida. Like
Well-
I've been to other
It's
states.
called state propaganda,
Yeah,
dude.
I put it this way: I was born in South Carolina, but I've been to like 30 states.
Apparently
I've only
Rick's contract to
lived
tell
in
us to
2.
fucking do something.
If you're in South Carolina,
more
guess
alligator
what
babies.
stuff you're gonna be hearing? You're gonna be like, "Oh my God,
South Carolina man.
yeah!"
You're a
And
human hybrid.
fucking ate a possum off the road that was actually his neighbor's pet.
But
some
there's-
shit like
there-
that.
there's
Why is
another
the
thing,
newscaster
too.
calling a pet a fucking possum, or was it an actual possum that was a pet?
I don't know.
There's a
I just
legitimate
made it up.
reason.
I just made
that's
it
when
up,
you know that's
dude.
Florida because the fucking news anchors don't even know what the fuck.
No,
they're
I'm talking about South
about.
Carolina here, buddy. I'm talking
There's
about
there's
South
a legitimate
Carolina.
reason though why we get that too. And Trevor Noah said it's part of something in Florida called the Sunshine Act. And
Okay.
what that means is that they give the press, the media, freedom to actually report on those stories about citizen arrests.
Oh.
This happens everywhere, guys. We're
Yeah,
just the
yeah,
only
yeah,
people that
yeah.
want to know about it.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
exactly, Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
This happens in every
NoFX
single
has
state.
a really good song that it's called Franco Un-American, and it's talking about like how people tend to see the world like, oh, your dilemmas and my distractions. And it has one line that's really great that I love called it goes outside of California is foreign policy, and that's everywhere. Like if you're in Florida and say Oklahoma passes a new bill, and it's just some random bill that if you lived in Oklahoma it'd be important.
Right.
But in Florida you're like, "Psst, why do I care?
Right. Well, it's
Yeah.
also like it's a whole thing about like even like recreational marijuana. Like let's
Yeah.
be honest. Now Colorado's like you don't want to make this better, Andrew.
I'm sorry, but
I
you
mean,
recall what I said is that you could take a stoner can take any conversation and just veer it towards weed. It's like, and you know
because
that's
it's so
I
fucking
mean,
amazing.
yeah,
and that's why it's like,
I'm sorry.
Hey, to
and,
give
and that's why
I'm
we
sorry,
talk about marijuana.
But do you not
Hey.
like to be happy, sir?
Hey,
Do you
to
not
give you-
like to be
hey,
happy?
to give you
I
some
am very happy
backstory-
with my
I
depression.
ain't nothing
things.
like a motherfucker.
Hey,
I'm
Andrew,
a very happy depressed person.
Andrew, I would like to give some
That's delusional.
the listeners some backstory to the spot we're at right now.
Yes, please, absolutely.
That
Oh, drugs?
yeah, well, it's called the Slab. At least I call it the Slab, but it's a skate spot. It started out as a skate spot, and you'd like if you're a skater, you'd meet up here or whatever, and you'd like skate it because it's got some nice spots on it. But what ended up happening is you meet up here and you just drink a lot of beer and smoke a lot of weed, and then forget to
Where
skate.
the fuck's the weed at?
Well, you know,
In
I'm
that
looking for
sewer.
work.
There's a
Yeah,
reason
yeah.
why he said don't look underneath the
Yeah.
slab.
This blind
Yeah,
motherfucker.
like it's mine, man. No, I'm actually straight edge now. My name's Ian McKay.
No one's straight edge.
Straight edge till payday.
Everyone's got their addiction.
Straight edge till payday.
Speaking of paydays, looks like we're not gonna have any for a while
Well, yeah, I haven't, dude.
Oops.
You wanna know how
What
punk
does
I
that
am?
mean?
because the government shut down.
Oh yeah, that's right. Aren't you
Yeah.
waiting on something like what was it called? A tax
W-2,
refund?
something like that.
Oh yeah.
Might be waiting on that a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, see,
Especially
you know
since
why?
that's-
okay, I
You know
never
why
done
that
those
skipped?
taxes.
You know why that went? You know why that I was drawing a blank for that. 'Cause, I haven't had a job in like 2 years, so I haven't
Bro,
had a
I
W
feel,
two
I
in
feel
2
him
years.
because I worked like a lot of like under the table jobs,
Yeah,
as well as I used to work a lot of like on the books jobs.
yeah.
So like there's like a good $20,000 of each year that
Yeah.
are probably untaxable.
Yeah, like dude,
Hashtag IRS don't fuck with me. Um, Like so it's just like sometimes I even forget. Like I went 2 years without doing it, and I just be like, I'll do it next year.
we were talking about this. Me and Lane were talking
Oops.
about this last week, and yeah. So as a musician myself, I play a lot of paid gigs,
yeah,
and when we first start playing at these paid gigs, they'll usually hand me a W-9, and
Yeah.
they'll keep that in their drawer or whatever. But come tax season, they want you to file that I-9 and send your information to the IRS, and it's like it's crazy to think that even as a musician,
You're being
booking
taxed.
gigs, you're being taxed. And
You're literally just creating art.
yeah,
And if you would have done it at an open mic, you wouldn't, because you're not getting paid for it. It would be no big deal.
Yeah, and it's a terrible thought. So I mean, what it comes down to
'Cause nothing can be
is
free, but if you want to do something for free, that's totally fine and dandy, right?
Yeah.
yeah, of course.
Yeah,
It's
that's
some
exactly.
shithead.
That's exactly.
It's some shithead accountant that says, "Well, he's not a musician. He's an independent contractor."
And you're like,
Yeah, I build walls with my guitar.
Yeah, like, I mean,
Okay,
like my
Donald Trump.
guitar is held together with skateboard parts, man. Do you really think I can afford this?
Oh
Ouch.
man.
Yeah, we just sunk to a deep level.
We're talking about
Help,
punk
I'm
rock
falling
in
and I
the
can't get
alleyway.
up.
That's how it happened, man.
Um.
So, anything else we want to talk about before we close out?
I could tell you some crazy freaking
Unwanted
stories
pregnancies.
I've heard.
All right.
Crazy stories.
My life.
Okay, well, I tell you
I vote
one.
for
That's a
crazy
one.
stories.
I tell you one that is personal, like, 'cause I was there. It happened. So I can 100% say this did happen. The Agent Orange show I was telling you about
I don't
earlier.
believe you.
Well, it had one of the best lineups ever. It had some newer band, Atom Age. I don't know a lot about them. They're like the new kids on the block. And then you had the Queers, Guttermouth, and Agent Orange. If you know anything about Guttermouth, you know, oh, they're in they're in the lineup. Shit's gonna get crazy. Well, Mark Adkins from Guttermouth, lead singer. First off, he likes roasting the crowd, and he points at me. I had my battle vest on, and all that, and I'm like the
I do
only.
the same thing, but I usually don't have my flamethrower
Yeah,
on me.
I'm like the only dude. I'm the only dude in the crowd that's still wearing like a battle vest because it's not a show in Pasco. Anyway, he points at me.
This
He's
is
like,
wild
"Oh,
about
it's
Florida."
probably just." He was like, "What are you doing, dude? It's not the '80s. What are you from New York?" And I'm like, "Oh, you know, Mark, it's probably just too hardcore for you." But anyway, he got really really drunk on stage. Some dude, you know, as tradition, you buy the band beer while they're performing. You throw it up there, they drink it as they sing. Some dude it was in Orlando. Some dude handed him like some Orlando brand Fago or whatever, and he takes a sip. He's like, "Oh, what is this?" And you're like, "Whatever." And he's like, "Is it alcoholic?" And he's like, "No." And he chucks it at the dude's forehead. Then gets some coke from some kid in the crowd, and is doing lines of cocaine on stage in the venue while singing his set.
It just sounds like me when I go to an open mic. Like I don't know about you guys, but it's just
Yeah, there's a reason it's called Euphoria Emporium.
yeah. I go there every time, and it's euphoria.
It's pretty euphoric. But yeah, like
How many times did Dean have to tell you quiet on the set?
I kept like okay, so
I was,
like
like, dying
there's the
of food
funny thing
poisoning.
about that. Dean kept on telling this cute girl to be cute, and I looked at her in the face, and I was like, "You're not trying hard enough." And he kept on telling me, "Shh, quiet on the set." I was like, I knew he was directing that shit to me. I love you, Dean, but sometimes I just need to
We
say
call
my
it
shit.
director Dean mode.
Yeah.
I've made quite a few movies with him or videos, whatever. And yeah, it's even if it's like say a 2-minute video, it's he's gonna get in the directing mood, and it's just director Dean gets all like, "No, don't do that. No, shush. Over here. No, not over there." And I love you, Dean, and I know it's because you want your stuff to be good. I get it.
I felt bad
But
for
it's pretty
him.
funny.
I felt bad for him that
Yeah,
night.
because he does everything himself. He
Well,
has no help.
all of his friends from school left,
Did
so he lost
nothing.
all of his stage
We didn't
hands.
get home till 7 a.m. His
Yeah,
mom
my
came
scene,
to the lounge yelling at him.
my scene didn't get filmed till like 4 in the morning. Jeff was sleeping in the car,
Yeah,
and like I was falling asleep myself.
I
It's
was
like,
dying of food poisoning.
Well, I drank a couple beers, so I was like, let me just sleep in my car.
I mean, at that point, I was just like, telling, I kept telling Dean, listen, let me do my thing. I'll take one shot at it, and that's all I need, and then I can go home.
Yeah. And it turned out great, but like people don't realize like how long is it? It's like what, like 12-minute video or something like that. 18 minutes.
It was closer to 20.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
pretty sure it was closer to
Oh, wow,
20.
yeah.
And
But anyway, but like that 20 minutes, I helped. I was like from the beginning all the way to the final product. There was only one scene, two scenes that I didn't even know about, and it was like months of us doing this. You know what I mean? Planning it, setting up an actual day we could record anything for like 2 hours. Tried to get a lot done in that amount of time. Always going overtime and being too late. and people don't realize. And then he has to go home and edit all of it.
A lot of people don't understand just how much goes into making that 20 minutes.
Yeah, like for instance, me and him made a movie called Punk is Dead, and it's with a camera from the 40s.
I remember that. I watched that. I thought that was
You didn't get
good.
to see the original, which because since the camera from the 40s, it takes film, and what it was is the film broke, and we didn't know about it till afterwards, and none of the film was usable. And it was at a punk show. We literally went to Pickle Fest.
Oh, I love Pickle Fest.
Yeah, I was there, dude. It was awesome.
I'm going this year.
Oh, dude, you have to.
Yeah, it's the last one, isn't it?
I don't
Do you think
so.
if I go, they'll sign my pickle?
Yeah, they will. They definitely will.
That's probably
But anyway,
plans.
like the very beginning of
goals.
that, here's how that one started. Originally, it
His
wasn't going to be
goals are
called Punk
very,
is
very
Dead.
specific.
It was going to be called Punk's Not Dead, because it was a punk show. And it started out with me pissing on an anarchy sign.
That's like the most punk thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, I'm so punk, I don't even believe in punk.
Yeah.
That's pretty punk, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
But-
I'll be right back. I'm gonna go piss in a can of PBR.
Yeah.
You shouldn't conform to what other people are
Yeah.
conforming to.
Yeah, there's the thing I tell people. They're like, oh, well, I couldn't go to a punk show. I don't look like a punk. And I'm like, no one looks like punk. Yeah, I wear a jacket with a lot of spikes and patches and everything. But punk is a mentality, dude. Like, I've been to shows where there's a guy over there in overalls, and next to me there's a dude wearing a pink crop top and booty shorts. Like, it's a show.
Hey, excuse me, one time I went to a punk show with nothing but a bathing suit on. I'm talking about like no shirt. I just had swim trunks on.
Jeff, what did I tell you on New Year's? I said, you know what? If somebody went to a punk show dressed in a suit and tie, it'd be the most punk rock thing ever.
Oh, damn right.
It happens all the time.
I
You
was
get
thinking about
the
going
fucking,
naked because I'd be like,
no,
now you can't
no,
I see my
seriously,
body
like,
now.
That's not punk. That's just mental.
That's some dude on
We're
meth.
all mental, man.
That's some dude on meth over there.
I think that's great though. So
What, me being naked?
no, just
I mean,
this.
that's great too.
No,
but-
I think just this whole episode,
Oh.
episode 6 in general. I
Those are
really like the way
fans.
this went.
Episode 6, released on day
But-
25 of the government
yeah.
shutdown.
You
Yeah,
want me
that
to-
will be.
You want me to end it out talking about
The next
a
one, there
good
might
friend
be
of
like,
mine's
buildings
show
on
that's
fire
coming up
and
and
stuff.
why
We don't
it's an
know yet,
important
you know,
show.
let's just
And
give it some
Please
time.
do.
Move
If you
it.
have any shows that you want to plug,
okay,
then go for
this
it.
one,
Right.
it's a cannot miss show, and the reason I say that is you're not gonna see them again. The Saints Brigade from Pasco.
Rip.
They're playing their last show at the Verona on February 16th. At the Verona in Newport Richey. It's about 5 miles south
And
of
by the way, that's
Gulfview.
totally going to be my Valentine's date
Yeah. Oh, dude.
with my new girlfriend. And
But
she is not a punk. And I'm
anyway-
not telling her.
Ooh.
I'm just,
But anyway,
Go
Because
on
your
there.
last one thought she was so punk.
I
yeah,
do-
she really
yeah.
did. She was like, oh, I'm so punk. And I went to
Oh my
a-
God, I'm so punk. I
went to a
listened to
Saint
Fall Out
Brigade
Boy.
show. I went to a Saint Brigade show right before Fubar closed.
Oh
The last one
man,
that
yeah,
they
yeah,
had there?
yeah. I didn't
Yeah.
get to make it to
So
that.
I go over there. I had bought some acid for my boy K-Dog. So like we take this blotter paper, bro, and like I'm tripping nuts, right? And I have this racing helmet in my car. I have my jacket on. So I like Drake, finds me. He's like, "Yo, let's go bounce around," which bounce around is like, like slang for let's go in the mosh pit.
Yeah.
So I go in the mosh pit. I jump on Drake's back, and people are like slamming their heads against my
Yeah.
helmet. It's like, oh, and we're jumping. we're
And your
doing
girl's
shit.
like, oh my God,
Yeah,
this is
dude,
scary.
she did not. Well, it was like first thing that she did wrong was I didn't tell her we were going to a punk show, just to test her punkness,
And
and she failed bad, like horribly. She had pulled in.
I
she
took
got-
my girl to Pickle Fest, and she had never been to a punk show in her life.
Congratulations, you popped someone's cherry.
We're
twice.
not we're not together anymore.
So
Oh,
Saints
damn.
Brigade at the Verona. What was
Yeah.
the date on that again?
It's February 16th.
February
The
16th.
reason the reason that it's their last show is actually somewhat relevant to the podcast, talking about the spirit of punk and how it's changed over the years.
Mm.
Josh Vazda is first off, like he's has a family now. You know, it's his kid and everything.
And he's an amazing father.
He is, dude.
Amazing
I see
father.
the pictures of him and his daughter on like Instagram and
it's
Facebook, and it
it's
warms my heart
great.
every
It's
day. Like it brings
fantastic.
me
I
up.
love him to death. I really do.
But like he's an old school punk mentality. It's all about three things: having a shit ton of fun, blowing off some steam, and yelling about shit.
yeah, that's
But
exactly
at
what
the
it's
end
about.
of the day, it's about the crowd, about unity. You think that way, I think that way. Fuck it.
UNITY.
It's exactly. Like half these patches on here, like DIY. I made them with spray paint. But he's getting so
Made
tired
patches with
of.
spray paint. Holy shit, that's amazing.
But he's getting so tired of the scene being so politically charged. And don't get me wrong, politics have always been been a part of punk.
Right, but it's
But-
the thing about it that people could agree to disagree.
Yeah, you could. And
instead of having
having a
physical
fist fight,
altercations.
and he's like, dude, I can't be getting into a fist fight every night, you know?
Yeah, I have kids.
Yeah,
you know,
and,
like I'm
like,
older. Like something could happen.
I'm
to me,
gonna
even though,
I'm gonna
I'm
end
not
up in
calling it a
jail or
punk
some
or
shit,
anything,
you
but
know?
just
Like it's not okay.
not the bad
um,
punk.
And not just that,
It's just-
and not just that is you know, like for instance, the guy from Pennywise, you know why he stepped back and
I don't.
he broke up the band. Okay, well, if you've never watched, there is a documentary that's amazing. It's called The Other F Word. It's a documentary about all these punks and all these punk bands specifically, like NoFX, Pennywise, and all them, and how they're like fathers now, and how that's so different than when they were kids. You know, like no, the reason they liked punk was because no one had dads. You know. And he's away from his little girl every all year long.
Well, one
Um,
thing's for sure, punks like the reason why punks are so like diverse in the sense of like
because they
the
come from
crowd and everything
all
is-
walks of life.
they come from all walks of life, and in general, we just want to be heard.
Yeah, put it this way, there's a poem I did, and I have it in here. I'm not going to do the whole poem. I want to read just a line of it.
Sure.
It's about musicians and stuff, but
Oh,
later
great.
I can close it with my
So
full.
it has no monetary value whatsoever.
No, no, it's not. I'm never. It's
Remember,
actually.
Andrew. I'll
It's
pay you
actually
back those
called
$4.
it's actually called Lyricist Loitering, and it's actually about me and Joe, and how we hang out after the lounge all the time. And if I can
Drink beer.
but after this, yeah, we do a lot of that.
We do a lot of that.
But after this, I do a full poem, but I want to find this line because it's relevant.
Revenant.
Yeah, it's relevant.
That's a good movie.
Yeah, here it is. Here
Yeah.
it is.
That's the only Leonardo
It's like
DiCaprio movie.
here it is. Found it. So it's creators such as us know all too well how revealing sharing our craft can be. Yet we continue. I think most artists, whether it be musician, poet, painter, or writer, we all deep down want our skeleton-filled closet to be noticed. For it to go on as if nothing has affected us in life is unsustainable. And I think that's really true. And I think that's
Preach
why a
that
lot of
shit,
people
son.
get into punk rock.
Preach that shit.
Um,
Damn.
It-
DJ, I
it's-
didn't even know you wrote that good.
oh yeah. I actually some of my poems are actually good. There's one. I'm doing what every punk my age is doing, talking about starting a punk band and not making any progress in starting one.
Oh, believe me, I've already been like 5
Damage
years
Control.
in the making. So
It's going to be called
hopefully this year.
It's going to be called Damage Control. But I have a poem that I'm eventually going to turn into a song, and I'd like to end out on that one.
Please do.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's called "I'm the Ostracized," and what it is, it's I'm not the I. It's a personification of the punk and the ska and all the alternative genres. Like if they were speaking, what they would say, and it's called "I'm the Ostracized." It's the only one I know by heart. Our society no longer holds intelligence. Instead, it judges with eyes so intense. It seems there's no room for unity. The only side I see is hypocrisy. Propaganda leading kids astray with warped ideals they join the fray. For speaking out, I'm seen as a foe. Death upon my head they wish to bestow. They try to make me out to be a monster. All I wish is in the hate they foster. That makes me a threat? I fight with no regret. I'd be a target for them to ostracize, a figurehead they used to demonize. Corruption needs its scapegoat. Man, the free? That's just an old trope. I'm so done overlooking their bullshit. Even still, I refuse to throw the first hit. For once, I'll stand with pacifism. I'm gonna spread my limited wisdom. They claim to be so clever, using tactics so my will can sever. To them, this is all just a game. And even though I have no claim to fame, I won't fall for the bait. Leading opposition is my fate. Saddens me how many are blind. Only a few left who won't unwind. But you know what? Fuck it. For now, let them judge. Because no matter what, I won't fucking budge.
Yes.
That's amazing.
awesome.
That was really good.
Really
That's pretty
something to
good.
close out on.
I give that a solid 10.
All right.
Out
Hey,
of 100.
could
I was gonna
we
say 1,000.
could we all do like a 3, 2, 1 fuck the government together? Would that be
And I
okay?
do it,
government.
and I do
Not-
it like a
not-
Henry
jump
Rollins.
the gun.
Well, I
Yo,
thought I was. I, thought,
do it in
I
like
thought
a
it was a
Henry
little late.
Rollins style, black flag, fucking like scream.
Do it. All right. Ready? Everybody? 3, 2, 1.
Fuck the government!
All right. If you guys are still listening, this was episode 6 of the Musicians Slab outside the liquor store.
Oh, it's gonna change every week.
Yeah, that was really loud. So I mean, if there's not a noise complaint already, we should probably start backing up.
Ooh, should start going.
Special thanks to DJ. Go check him out every Thursday night at Euphoria Emporium up in
Thanks
Spring
for having
Hill.
me on, man.
Absolutely. Special thanks to Wizzy Incongito, our punk correspondent, who translated way more than we should have allowed.
You can
but-
check me out every time at my house Friday night. Baby.
Yeah, we didn't even get to half the stuff we thought about.
You know what? If this is
Did
still
we
going
think
on
about
by
any-
like in the next month or so, we're probably gonna just get you back on.
Oh, cool.
Did we think
Cool.
about anything?
Yeah, I
here?
mean, government shutdown's probably gonna last a while.
I mean,
We'll see
yeah,
what happens.
Yeah.
Special thanks to Jordan for coming.
Jordan, you get the gold star tonight.
It's
out.
Patrick.
Patrick.
It's Patrick.
No,
this
is Patrick.
Where's
the leak,
this is a
man?
fun episode.
This was really good, guys. All right. My name is Andrew.
And this is Lane.
Signing off.
Bye, bitches.